is Leah Michelle, Resistance Chicks. It's February 3rd, 2017. It's Friday. We have kind of a grave / exciting story. So it's exciting what's happening, grave why it had to happen.
Okay, so California police arrest, get this number,
474
people in a child sex trafficking ring, and they rescue 28 sexually exploited children during a statewide human trafficking sting. California law enforcement officials on Tuesday announced they arrested hundreds of people and rescued dozens of sexually exploited children and adults during a statewide sting operation taking aim at human trafficking. In total, 474 arrests were made, including 142 men hit with solicitation charges, 36 men on suspicion of pimping during the 3-day operation conducted by 30 different law enforcement agencies across the state, according to the Los Angeles County's Department's police statement.
Leah was telling me this, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I just kept saying to her, I said, how do you arrest that many people? Like, the amount of law enforcement that you have to rally together. Where do you hold them? How do you book them? I mean, I'm excited that this has happened. This is incredible.
In conjunction with the Human Trafficking Awareness Month, Sheriff McDonnell announced details and the results from the 3rd annual Operation Reclaim and Rebuild enforcement operation conducted by the Los Angeles Regional Human Trafficking Task Force and more than 30 participating federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies and task forces across California. The 3-day statewide, I have goosebumps. I don't know, just the idea of these people being freed is just so overwhelming.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
A statewide effort aimed at combating human trafficking took place between Thursday, January 26th and Saturday, January 28th, and was conducted in various mediums and met with positive results. And what I wanted to point out here is what somebody else said. If you got this many people in 3 days, what could you do?
Why is this just an annual thing
every day?
Right. Well, I get it takes some time to gather intel and to set it all up, right? But I'm guessing it doesn't take a whole year. We could be doing this all the time.
Right. I want to just kind of show you a little clip of the press conference here.
The commander for the Human Trafficking Bureau and the Los Angeles Regional Human Trafficking Task Force. Thank you for attending today's press conference to announce the results of a statewide operation to combat human trafficking. In order to demonstrate the collaboration law enforcement has taken toward ending these crimes, we have invited several agencies who partnered with us for this operation and are also leading an anti-human trafficking efforts in their own jurisdictions today. So at this time, we'll start at the end. We'll ask each agency to state their name and the department they represent. So, sir, at the end.
Sergeant Paul Derrick, Philip Branning, Director, Department of Los Angeles County.
So he goes through, and there's just so many people here.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you to all of our partners who've come many long distance this morning to be able to be here with us. Operation Reclaim Rebuild is a broad, statewide operation focused on reclaiming the victim and helping them to rebuild their lives. The operation involved more than 30 federal, state, and local agencies and task forces from across the state of California. It was conducted as a coordinated assault on one of the most heinous crimes of modern times, the exploitation for profit of another human being. With me are representatives from more than a dozen, 15 to be exact, federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies, as well as both public and private service providers who all share in the mission to combat sex trafficking in all of its forms. These are the men and women to thank for the rescuing of 27 adult and 28 juvenile females and arresting 36 suspected traffickers and 142 so-called Johns, predators.
Wow.
In total, there were 474 criminal arrests made statewide in this operation.
Goosebumps.
I'll give you the stories from throughout the state detailing the rescues and enforcement efforts are numerous. I'd like to share just a few to highlight the incredible work accomplished by the dedicated men and women who fight trafficking every single day. During the operation, a detective posing as a sex worker on a Compton street was approached by a suspect who identified himself as a pimp. The hostile suspect threatened to rob the woman. He pointed to another female in his car who worked for him. Detectives then arrested him. And that young girl in the car, she was a minor and had been earlier reported as a missing person. Our suspect had been trafficking her for sex. She is now getting help with our victim-centered service providers. The second case, our enforcement efforts were not confined to city streets. The operation targeted the traffickers who use the internet to exploit their victims. In Long Beach, detectives recovered 3 minors after the detectives noted that their sex ads were on the internet. The detectives posing as Johns answered the ads and requested they meet at a local hotel. Upon arriving, the detectives confirmed that the girls were juvenile victims of sex trafficking. The responsible traffickers are currently being investigated further. A third case, an undercover deputy posing as a 15-year-old female on social media was contacted by a suspect who recruited her to work for him in the commercial sex trade. After arranging a meeting, the pimp told her he was in San Bernardino and headed to Los Angeles County. He demanded that our detective, who was posing as a teenage girl, have $1,000 ready for him by the time he arrived. Presumably, she was supposed to earn the money by sex trafficking herself. Upon arriving at the meeting, the suspect was arrested by task force detectives.
Get him!
The breadth and scope of Reclaim and Rebuild was specifically timed for January, which is Human Trafficking Awareness Month. It was designed to send a strong message to the traffickers. Don't do business in Los Angeles County or the state of California, because we will find you and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law.
You guys, I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah. It's awesome. I mean, I get goosebumps. I'm
excited. It is like a television show with like a happy story.
We're making a turn, and as Trump's words, we're just going to keep winning.
Morality is coming back to America. Law enforcement is kind of being unleashed in order to do their job, to take these crooks down, and people like George Soros aren't going to be able to fund child sex traffic rings anymore.
Right. Yeah. So it was. Everybody kind of got together.
Across
district attorneys.
Every state could be doing it, not just
Human
California.
Trafficking Bureau. Operation Reclaim and Rebuild focused on rescuing victims of sexual slavery and human trafficking, providing victims with much-needed services, identifying and arresting their captors, seeking successful prosecutions, and disrupting the demand for vulnerable victims by targeting their customers. And if you haven't researched, there's a Backpage story that I did. I don't even know if I made a video of it or made a blog. But
no, we did the video of that.
Okay, so Backpage was really upset because that is the #1 place that they find these victims.
Right.
Is on Backpage, underage victims. And so in preparation for the event, an operational planning meeting took place in Los Angeles with over 120 federal, state, and municipal law enforcement detectives from over all of California. Investigators focused enforcement operations wherever the trafficking of human beings took place, from confronting the reality of sidewalk prostitution by conducting John stings, challenging the virtual reality of the cyber world, which is where it's all kind of moving to now.
Sure.
And so the internet has furnished a vast variety of opportunities for traffickers, but with the experience of specially trained cyber detectives, they're actually able to kind of combat it.
And that's where these code words come from, like in the WikiLeaks emails, where we know what these certain code words, they can identify them.
So they took the children, it says, they were cared for by personnel from various Department of Children and Family Services, the Operation Reclaim and Rebuild was widely successful in its endeavor with 28 commercially sexually exploited children. Do you know what that
commercially?
Do you know what that means? It's kind of, I'm just going to read this line. Commercially sexually over and over. This was like going into a store and getting this kid who knows how many times a day.
Oh my gosh.
And 27 adult victims. People who are held against their will. Then I just want to point out here, 142 males were arrested on the charge of solicitation and 36 males charged for, arrested for pimping. As Sheriff McDonnell relayed the mission, efforts and results of Operation Reclaim and Rebuild, he pointedly addressed the traffickers and Johns who conduct their illegal business in Los Angeles County and the state of California, and reminded them of the gravity of their crimes and the prosecution to accompany their actions when discovered. Next, the sheriff directly addressed the victims. You are worthy of more, and we will work tirelessly with our partners to provide you services and help you rebuild your life. It is our job in law enforcement to protect children, all children, especially those who have fallen prey to adults who seek to profit from their bodies. We will not tolerate the sexual exploitation of children anymore by anyone, not the sex traffickers and not the people who pay to sexually assault them. And I just think this is wonderful, and I hope they're able to reclaim their lives. But obviously, if this sting was done over 3 days, it's out there, it's everywhere.
Every state needs to be implementing these kind of actions.
Exactly.
Oh, like just across the board. So this is another story that we want you guys to get out there and share, to get people excited, to be writing their congressmen, to be writing their states, and telling and calling and whatever you got to do, email, say this needs to be happening here in our state, to be active, to be posting these things on your social media page. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Subscribe to Resistance Chicks and Mass Faith 3, and find us on Facebook so we can interact with you guys there. We just launched our Facebook page because a lot of you were asking for it. So, all right, we'll see you guys soon.
I was cold all alone.